Sup y'all, Manny here, and now that I got the Sonic 1 review out of the way, I finally get to review the game I really wanted to talk about, which is Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Now, I'm just gonna say it, I f***ing love this game. It's one of my favorite games from my childhood, it's one of my favorite games of all time, period. And now is the perfect time for me to review this game because this year marks the 30th year anniversary that this game got released. Now, it has been a while that I played this game from beginning to end, so how does this classic hold up today in 2022? Let's discuss. Sorry, not sorry for the negative Sonic 1 review. But don't worry, this one's gonna be a lot more positive, trust me. Speaking of Sonic Part 1, I forgot to mention he has like a little snorkel mask or something in the debug mode that you could unlock. I thought that would make it so you don't have to find bubbles anymore, you could just breathe on the water, but no, that's not the case, you can still drown. I don't care enough to research what it was for, I just forgot to mention it in my last review, so yeah, there you go. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 released for the Sega Genesis on November 21st, 1992 in Japan, and November 24th, 1992 for the rest of the world, also known as Sonic Tuesday, developed by Sega Technical Institute, aka STI. Ew. Naoto Oshima, who is one of Sonic's creators, stood in Japan to work on Sonic CD, while Yuji Naka, the other Sonic creator, got convinced by Mark Cerny, yes, the same Cerny who revealed the PS4 and the PS5, to work on Sonic 2 in America. Sega was not convinced at first that Sonic needed a sequel so soon, but of course they changed their mind and wanted a sequel for the 1992 holiday, so the team only had 9 months to finish this game. So from my research, it sounds like the development was a bit of a nightmare. One of the issues is that you had American and Japanese developers working together and they couldn't really understand each other. I mean, I'm sure they had a translator, right? Couldn't really find a confirmation for that, but come on now. Moving on. The first time I saw Sonic the Hedgehog 2 in person was at this electronic store called B-Wiz? Hold on, let me look it up. Nobody beats the Wiz. Nobody beats the Wiz. Wow. I really did forget the name of this electronic store, but I do remember clearly being in there and seeing Sonic the Hedgehog 2 for the first time and just being so amazed. From then, I begged my parents to get me a Sega Genesis, and they did. They got me the Sega Genesis console that came with the Sonic the Hedgehog 2 cartridge. Now this was, I believe, summer of 1994, I think? I don't remember. I was either in kindergarten or going to first grade, one of those two. But man, what an amazing time with this game. Even the game's manual, I was like really into. Like before I passed the game and I knew what the final boss was, I used to look at this picture in the manual and was just like, oh my god, that looks so epic. For this review, I played Sonic the Hedgehog 2 on the Sonic Origins collection for the PS4. Sorry again, purists, but this is the easiest way to play the game now. And in my opinion, it's not that much different. Plus, I love the widescreen and the extra goodies. There is one glitch with this version of the game though. If you lose Tails, you're gonna hear him jumping and trying to get to you off screen for like a whole 2-3 minutes until he finally flies back to you. But apparently, somewhat recently, they released a patch to fix that issue, which I already reviewed the game, so I haven't had a chance to really try it out, but yeah, it looks like they fixed it. Now, I'm gonna start with the story because that shouldn't take that long, since it's basically the same story as the first game. You're gonna run around from zone to zone, rescuing those animals that Dr. Robotnik kidnapped and put in machines and whatnot. I think he's still trying to take over the world, I don't know, that's not made very clear. It's an early 90s platformer game, so the story is not the main focus here. Also, I'm not really going to talk about the 2-player mode because I never really played it back then, and I didn't play it much now either. It's not going to be a factor in this review. But yeah, it's there if you want to do it. You could race against each other in the levels. Origins Collection now has all the levels. The old game had only like 3 levels. And you can also race in the special stages. Why would you want to do that? But anyways, yeah, I'm not really going to talk about 2-player mode. It's not a factor here, sorry. Not for me. So anyway, let's get into it. Why is this game so awesome? For starters, this game really does stick to its promise of speed. This is the first game in the franchise that introduced us to the spin dash for instant speed. So the spin dash that is now a standard in every Sonic game started here. So already they fixed a flaw in Sonic Part 1 where you lack speed, but also the level design. Now you have way more opportunities to go really fast. You go so fast that the screen can't even keep up with you. I Love it. Now that's blast processing. Yes, there's still some platforming here in this game, but it is really well mixed in with speed sections in the level. And even when the levels are just mostly platforming, it's still done at a much faster pace than the first game, where you have to wait for slow moving objects to move, and it just drives you mad, and it got very boring. This one here, you just jump and platform at a much faster rate, even if you're not speeding through the level. Thank God. Now, there are some levels in this game that has water sections, and you have to still find the bubbles, but you can skip the water parts altogether if you take the high road. It is tricky to stay up there, but, yes, I'm saying but a lot. If you fall down, you can always try to get back up there. The point is, now you have the option. You're also not traveling alone anymore. Yes, Sonic 2 marks the debut of Miles Tails Prower. Miles Prower because Miles per hour. Get it? You got it? Get the pun? The two-tailed fox who could keep up with Sonic. When you're playing single player, he follows you around and could come in handy sometimes. Or your friend could pick up a second controller and help you out. In the original, Tails could fly, but he can't pick you up. That's not until Sonic the Hedgehog Part 3. But with this new collection, they added that feature for Sonic 2, so that comes in handy. I think there are some people that don't like Tails running along with you, find him annoying, but I don't care what anybody says. I love having Tails around. I like hearing that double jump noise. This game also has a lot more zones now, and that's in due part because each zone has 2 acts only. Not 3, just 2, and that is so much better. It is a huge improvement. It's better with 2 acts because the level itself won't overstay its welcome like it did in Sonic Part 1. Even though Sonic 2 has more speed routes, so maybe if it did have 3 acts, it would have the, the speed sense in it still. 3 acts is too long and you get bored with the level. And I love the variations of all the levels. So we got Emerald Hill Zone, Chemical Plant Zone, Aquatic Ruin Zone, Casino Night Zone, Hilltop Zone, Mystic Cave Zone, Oil Ocean Zone, Metropolis Zone, Sky Chase Zone, Wing Fortress Zone, and Death Egg Zone. Now, Metropolis Zone is the hardest zone in the whole game. It's the only one that has 3 acts. But is understandable, and I don't mind it because you're basically at the end of the game, so it is gonna get harder. Yeah, there's some cheap shots here and there, but still, I don't care. I could get through it. I don't mind it. It's still better and more fun than Labyrinth Zone, that's for sure. Anyways, from there, the last 3 zones are only 1 act each. I love all the zones in this game, but I don't want to talk about all of them because then this video is gonna be a little too long. Casino Night Zone. I spent so much time here gambling, it's crazy. My favorite thing to do was trying to get a jackpot and get all those rings. So satisfying. I am surprised I didn't develop a gambling problem. Like, I would stay in this level sometimes so long just doing the little slot machine thing that I would run out of time and die. Ugh, I used to hate when I get the Robotnik pictures and then I'll lose all my rings. Anyways, let's go to Emerald Hill Zone, which to me is more iconic than Green Hill Zone. Can't change my mind on that, even though, yeah, I guess it is like a little revision of Green Hill Zone. But it's better. I would play this level so much. I found all the little hidden areas, the secrets, and everything. I just love this level. I mastered it. Knew it like the back of my hand. As you're getting to the end of the game, I love how it's a continuing story. You go from Sky Chase Zone to Wing Fortress Zone to Death Egg Zone. Most of the game, you don't have any clear transition to the other levels. Like, you don't know how you're gonna get from Emerald Hill Zone to Chemical Plant Zone. But towards the end, you see the transition more clearly, which is fine. I don't care if the other levels didn't do that, but I just thought it was a nice touch towards the end to bring that up because, you're chasing Robotnik to the final stage, so I like that. Now, the final boss fights to this game is nothing short of epic. So Death Egg Zone is the final boss zone. Like, it's not a level, so you're not gonna run around and collect rings. So you have to fight this Metal Sonic and Dr. Robotnik's ultimate robot with no rings. Like, as a kid, I was like, what? There's no rings? That's impossible. How am I gonna win this? That's when you just rely on your skills and you beat the game, and it's so satisfying. Now, once you get Dr. Robotnik's pattern down here, it's not that hard. So I guess you could argue that, oh, since you don't have any rings, they couldn't make the boss fight that crazy. Like, he couldn't just attack you in 1,000 different ways because you have no rings. It wouldn't be fair. But it still works. It's very effective. I think this is the only Sonic game that did that. And just look at the design of the final boss here. Like, it looks so cool. Like, wow. Also, I don't know why this Metal Sonic didn't get popular over the Sonic CD Metal Sonic when more people play Sonic the Hedgehog Part 2 than they played Sonic CD. I guess the CD version does look cooler, but I think this one from Part 2 looks cool too. He looks more bulkier and more powerful and menacing. He does not get enough love. And yes, I agree. It's bullcrap that Dr. Robotnik could outrun Sonic in this last level. I mean, it's cool to chase him, but realistically, or according to the game's own logic, this doesn't make sense. But I am willing to overlook it. But yes, overall, the boss fights here are much better, more creative, more fun. Not too challenging, but if you're not careful, you will get killed. Actually, this time around, the boss fight in Wing Fortress was actually pretty damn hard. Like, I don't remember this boss fight being so challenging, but I died quite a few times. I mean, I know it's been a while, but damn, he kicked my ass. Still a fun boss fight, but wow, yeah, it was harder than I remember. But anyways, I love the boss fight music to this. It's like Dr. Robotnik's theme here for me. The whole soundtrack to Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is just amazing. It's my favorite soundtrack of all the Sonic games. And it's not just nostalgia talking here. Like, I actually have the whole soundtrack in my MP3 list. Yes, I still download MP3s because once you download them, no internet or data required to play. I actually used to just stay at the beginning of the Death Egg Zone and listen to the music of it because it was so good. Like, I wish this was a whole level so we could listen to this track. Shout out to the music composer Masato Nakamura. Man, the music here alone is a 10 out of 10. Speaking of music and 10, you can listen to the whole soundtrack of this game in the options menu. Now, if you go to track number 10, you're gonna hear this song that you have no clue where in the game it belongs. I was mesmerized by this track because I was like, where does it go? What does it belong to? And my theory was that this was the theme to Supersonic when you get all the Chaos Emeralds. But I was wrong. Thanks to the game trailer show called Pop Fiction, I learned that track 10 possibly belonged to a cut level called Hidden Palace Zone. In the original Sonic 2 cartridge, you have to use a Game Genie to access it, but it's a glitchy mess. But luckily, there is a beta version online you could download and play on an emulator to access Hidden Palace Zone, or at least half of it, because that's all they ever finished at the time. And yes, this was on the Simon Y prototype, and there's also a Nick Arcade prototype that they had in the Nick Arcade show back in the early 90s. I still remember that episode pretty clearly. But if you look further into the Simon Y prototype, you can see the names of many levels that were cut, like Wood Zone, Dust Hill Zone, and Genocide City Zone. Now, some of these just got renamed, but some of these also got cut altogether. Still, it's so fascinating to see. This game did have a shorter development cycle than the first Sonic game, so imagine if they had more time. What a more massive Sonic game we would have gotten. Also, I find it very interesting that when you collect 100 rings in the Simon Y prototype, the early version of the Death Egg Zone theme starts playing. But in 2013, when they released the mobile ports, Simon Tomley and Christian Whitehead added Hidden Palace Zone to the game. Like, the whole zone is fully playable. It's actually a very good level. It's definitely on my top list of favorite Sonic levels. From the speed, to the enemies, to even the exploration in this level. It's a lot of fun. My only complaint will be the boss fight itself here. It's kind of slow paced and kind of hard. It's hard to really time it so Dr. Robotnik could get hit and come down so you could hit him a few times. One thing I was a little disappointed with was that they did not use track 10 for this level, instead using the 2-player Mystic Cave theme, which it does match, but man, I wanted track 10 for this level. But upon further investigation, apparently track 10 was gonna be meant for a cutscene for when you turn Supersonic or get all the Chaos Emeralds for the first time. Okay, I'm gonna do something here that I've never done before. Since I have the video on how to unlock Hidden Palace Zone in the actual Sonic 2 game for the Genesis, I'm gonna try it because I never tried it. So this emulator that I have, it has the Game Genie part in it, so you could put Game Genie codes or whatever. I mostly want to see what song plays when you access this in the original game. So yeah, let's see. Ugh, it's like looking at a Sonic CD level. What a mess. Not gonna lie, kind of hurts my eyes. But oh my god, it's track 10. That is so cool. Like, actually doing it yourself and seeing that track 10 plays when you access Hidden Palace Zone in the original copy of the game. That is pretty freaking cool. And yeah, this is the actual level from the beta. Because look, you can see Tails 1 up here. Maybe the creator of the level was like, you know what? I spent a lot of time on this. I'm not gonna fully erase it from the game, so I'll just corrupt it and stuff. Because dang, this should have been in the game. So I don't know. I'm just speculating here. And you know what? Track 10 matches this level too. I'm just like, I'm almost speechless. I don't know. I did it for this review for the first time. So wow, it works. Awesome. I'm just so glad after all these years I finally got to play Hidden Palace Zone. And a quick note here, there's this Sonic 2 HD fan remake that looks absolutely stunning. My god, it's gorgeous. Now, I looked it up and it says they got canceled back in 2012, that they're not doing it anymore, but then I looked at their page and they have some updates as recent as 2021. So I don't know if it's still getting made, but if it is, I am looking forward to it because I played the demo and it's fantastic. I think if they make a Sonic Mania 2, they should go with these type of graphics. This looks beautiful. Gorgeous. Anyways, let's get back to this review for Sonic the Hedgehog 2. It's so interesting looking at these betas and seeing what changed in the final game. For example, if you run really fast into a wall, you will like get hit and get knocked back, which would have been a pain in the ass, to be honest. So I'm glad they got rid of that, but it's still kind of cool that they thought about that in the early stages of making this game. Another cool thing about these betas is that you could see how the level used to look before it got finalized, and some of them don't look that great. Like Casino Night Zone looks pretty freaking terrible. Also the music sounds different. Early version of the song before it got finalized. Debug mode here is still a blast, and they put a lot of the deleted content back into it, so you could play around with that as well. You could debug mode a bunch of more items to the last level here, including the end posts, which will give you your final score tally and everything, like if you just passed the level. And where does it take you? None other than Hidden Palace Zone. You can also mess around with the debug mode in the final cutscene here. That's pretty awesome. Yes, tons of fun with debug mode. And for the Sonic Origins collection, they still made it that you had to put the codes in the little music box thing here, which that is very tedious and it's hard to remember the numbers. I think one of the codes is the release date of the game, but still, I wish they would have streamlined the cheat codes here to be more modern, where you could just turn them on or off in the menu without having to access a special code to do it. So yes, the levels have improved, the gameplay, more chances to speed, the graphics still look beautiful and charming today, the music, the mystery, the legend behind it all, just a complete improvement in every possible way from the first game, and so much fun. It's like this game can't do no wrong, but it did. It did. There is one glaring stain in this game, and that is the special levels to get the Chaos Emeralds. Now you're gonna want to do these special levels to collect all 7 Chaos Emeralds, which went up 1 from the last game. Last game was 6 Chaos Emeralds, now it's 7 Chaos Emeralds. But anyways, you want to collect them all this time because you could turn into Super Sonic, basically God mode for the Sonic games. Also, if you collect them all, you'll get the real ending to the game. Now, quick note, I really thought this after credit scene was part of the real game because I never passed the original game with all the Chaos Emeralds, so I was like, wait a minute, they knew about Knuckles already? I did not know they planned that far ahead. But upon further research, it looks like it was just added for the Origins collection. If you play the original Sega Genesis game, you only get this at the end, the logo for Sonic the Hedgehog 2, even if you collect all 7 Chaos Emeralds. Now, back to the special levels. Now, granted, this was kind of impressive back then because this was before 3D graphics really were a thing. So yeah, this little special level looks cool, but it does not control well, and it looks kind of bad because it's not real 3D, it's simulating 3D in the original. The controls are very slippery here, and you have to collect a certain amount of rings each round. There's like 3 rounds. So the first you collect 20 rings, then you collect 50, and you collect 100, for example. Sounds easy enough, right? But then it just gets hard. I only could ever get the first one. After that, it became impossible for me to collect any other Chaos Emeralds because there's these little bombs that hit you and take away your rings. Granted, you don't lose all your rings, but you lose 10 rings a hit. So you have to avoid getting hit, but not just your character of Sonic. If Tails gets hit, you lose rings too. So there's a bit of a delay when you move. So if you move to the right, Tails will move to the right like a second later. Not even, well, like a split second later. And that means if you move like right before the bomb hits you, then that means it's too late for Tails. He's gonna get hit, even though you dodged it with Sonic. So that is very annoying. It's like they both have their own physics and stuff, and they're not even. So yeah, that's I hate it. What a design. Who approved that? This is where Tails becomes such a liability. It looks like he only loses rings that he collected himself, but still, every ring counts. So in the original game, you had to collect 50 rings, and then you hit one of the checkpoint posts, and you jump into the stars, and then you get into the special level. But you only get one chance. If you fail, you're gonna be taken out, and you're gonna start with 0 rings. Now, the rings do respawn, so you could go back and collect them all, but you have to find another checkpoint post. So besides Emerald Hill Zone, where it's possible to collect them all right there, you're not gonna have that many chances to really collect them as the game gets harder and harder. So if you don't have 50 rings when you hit the checkpoint, you're not gonna get in there. So yes, as a kid, I never could get past the first one, like I said, so I never collected all the emeralds. I only got Super Sonic when I started using cheat codes. But in the Sonic Origins collection, you have the option to retry the special level. So for the first time in my life, I finally got all the Chaos Emeralds through playing the special levels. But man, holy what a drag. This was extremely difficult. Like, to the point I was like, you know what? Why am I doing this? I don't have to do this. I already have Super Sonic with the codes and stuff. Why am I doing it this way? The second to last one, or the one before that, was so hard. I tried for like a good hour to get that Chaos Emerald because it's a specific pattern you have to master, and the controls are so slippery. It's like, what the I almost quit. It was not fun at all. It was a horrible experience. Miserable experience. And before anybody mentions it in the comment, yeah, you could get rid of Tails and play just with Sonic solo and get it easier that way, I guess, somewhat. But no, I like playing with Tails, so no, I'm not doing that. Like, there was no way in the original Sonic game I was gonna be able to master this to get all the Chaos Emeralds. Like, how am I supposed to do that when I only get one try? And it's a lot of trial and error, so you can learn the patterns of where the rings are and where the bombs are. But it took me like 100 tries to get all the Chaos Emeralds. Like, thank God it's so easy to get continues through the challenges, or just go on debug mode and spawn a bunch of extra tries. Or hell, you can even do this. Sorry, I was just having a little too much fun with debug mode. Again, what a horrible design. I hate it. What a huge flaw on this otherwise near perfect game. I mean, nothing is perfect, but you know, if something's so good and it feels perfect to you, then yes, I will give this a 10 out of 10. But I cannot ignore the special levels in this game. Yes, there's people who mastered it and could get it like in, you know, in the first try or whatever, but it is way too difficult, and I am pretty good at these games. I'm not like the best, but I'm pretty decent at it. It doesn't ruin the game for me, but it's too big of an issue for me to ignore. Even though the rest of this game is fantastic. To this day, this game is still a lot of fun, and I love it. I enjoy it. The music, everything, gameplay, graphics, the nostalgia, how it brings back so many good memories, the speed, everything, except for the special levels. So with that, I give Sonic the Hedgehog 2 game a 9.5 out of 10. Well, there you have it. Those are my thoughts on Sonic the Hedgehog 2. It's a near perfect Sonic game, if only the special stages were, you know, a bit more passable. It doesn't take away from the fact that this game is very legendary. It's still very good today. It's still very fun to play. Still holds a special place in my heart. It's a sequel so good that I played it first, and I couldn't go back to playing the first game because that's how good this game was. That the first game seemed so obsolete. It's like the Terminator 2 of games, you know. The sequel just blows the original out of the water. It's that good. I love it. I can't emphasize that enough. I said it like 1,000 times already. I love this game. Anyways, with that, this has been a review of Sonic the Hedgehog 2, just cuz.